Joining me now is our Washington insider, Scott Jackson, host of the team's postgame show every week. You know, it's always about the quarterback. What was your first reaction when you heard the news Wednesday morning?
Well, I wasn't shocked, but I was a little bit surprised at the timing. Look, Ron Rivera kind of telegraphed this the day after the Browns game when he did a 180 on the way he thought Dwayne Haskins played, and then he made the comments essentially putting him on the clock. So I wasn't totally stunned because, on Sunday, he gave a bit of an endorsement on the postgame show with us for Haskins, but it wasn't a great endorsement. He did kind of say there were things that were subject to change after they talked and met. But I really, to be honest, thought maybe we'd go into the week with both quarterbacks getting extra reps, and maybe it would be a decision late in the week. I didn't know if we'd have a clean slate going in on Wednesday, and obviously that's the situation here.
The NFC East is just horrible. Washington is only 1-3, tied with the Cowboys for second place. The Eagles are in first place, but only have one win, and they lost to Washington. Heck, a few wins in Washington can lead the NFC East again.
Yeah, and that was kind of the way Ron Rivera laid it out today with this game on Sunday with the Rams. Then you're talking about a Giants game, a Cowboys game, and another Giants game. So he's kind of looking at the next four games, the second quarter of the season to see if they can at least get a couple of those and, put themselves in position to be in the race. And it is interesting because, look, a lot of people around here are pointing out at the fact, well, wait a minute, there's been two games this year where you didn't call timeouts in the last few minutes telling us that you were looking at the greater good, want to stay healthy, we're looking big picture, weren't really thinking about this year. It was about building a base and building a culture and this kind of stuff. And now, you're pulling the plug on Dwayne Haskins after four games. So clearly there might be more to this story, Bruce, that the coach isn't sharing. There might be some things that happened during the week and prep time that he's just not seeing what he wants from his quarterback. And there also may be, some feelings from other people in the building that, hey, it's time to kind of play to win here. And maybe Kyle Allen gives us the best chance. And if he doesn't, we've got somebody warming up who's played a lot of games and won a lot of games.
All right, so let's move on. Your thoughts on the team's new starting quarterback, Kyle Allen?
Look, I don't think he's a huge upgrade immediately, but he does know the offense. Like statistically, he's been up and down, more ups than downs than Dwayne Haskins, obviously, but not eye-popping numbers. His completion percentage in his career, he's got a couple more starts than Dwayne, is just 62%. And the big complaints about Dwayne is his completion percentage, which is under 59, I believe, for his career, even though he had the 71% day against the Ravens this past week. So I don't think he has a big arm, but I think he'll be able to function in Scott Turner's offense. And I think clearly they think he's going to give them a better chance to be in games and potentially win games here in the near future. And we'll find out. I mean, if you want to do a little hindsight, maybe they should have started the season with Kyle Allen while they worked with Dwayne Haskins and getting it up to speed.
The benching of Dwayne Haskins was one surprise this week. And then at the same time, we heard that Alex Smith is going to be Kyle Allen's backup. Scott, did you see this coming?
I'll be honest with you, I think this is the biggest surprise to me of all the things about this story that we've learned is that Alex Smith on Wednesday was elevated to the second quarterback. I know he made the active roster, but my feeling all along was he would always be the third guy. They would never dare give him a uniform. But clearly they feel comfortable enough medically from what they've heard and what his doctors have said, and their doctors are saying that they think he can play, and they've seen enough in these practices from him. We didn't see a lot of Alex Smith at all when practices were open during training camp, didn't do much of anything. And even in a little bit of open sessions that we get now, it's all very basic and under control stuff. It's more kind of warm-up stuff. So we haven't seen him go live, so to speak. But it's fascinating because clearly, look, he's the most ready quarterback to win if he's healthy. But that's a huge if. And clearly he's passed all the tests he needs to. And it's really an amazing story when you think about how awful that injury was. We're coming up with a 2-year anniversary of it in about a month.
Scott, one more quarterback question. Have we seen the end of Dwayne Haskins in Washington?
I may be premature to say that unless, Kyle Allen or Alex Smith just goes and is just unbelievable with this job. I mean, remember this, Kirk Cousins, he started some, remember, not only in 2012 with a one start, but then he had starts in 2013 and 2014. Then he found himself, third in the depth chart, even going into camp the year of 2015. Then suddenly he was the starter in week one. And obviously he's been cashing checks ever since then. As a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I don't want to say it's over for Dwayne Haskins here. I would say the door is still slightly ajar, but certainly this is a setback. How does he handle this setback is really the big key.
The lack of productivity by the offense has put a lot of pressure on the defense. A good start by Kyle Allen would certainly put a smile on the faces of the Washington D.
No question. They need a quicker start. They need to not turn the ball over. Now, this last week, it was, McKissick with the turnover, J.D. McKissick. And then, the defense has shown one thing. They don't handle, sudden change well. They don't handle short fields well. They've really struggled in the last couple of games when teams have had good field position on them. They have not been able to get off the field or hold them to field goals. And that's driven Ron Rivera and, Jack Del Rio a little crazy about this defense because they think a lot of it and it's been good in stretches, but it just has not been consistent enough.
But injuries have taken its toll on the defense. We were hoping that Ryan Kerrigan would fill the void when Chase Young got hurt, but I really wasn't impressed with Kerrigan against the Ravens.
He had zeros, Bruce. I mean, he played, 51% of the snaps, I think it was, on defense and didn't have a single tackle, didn't have a sack, didn't have a pressure, nothing. And it's astonishing because remember, week one, here's a guy who we thought was reborn. But again, Chase Young was on the field with him, right? Chase Young was on the field with him in Arizona. Chase Young not on the field really these last two games, game into three quarters because he went out early in the first quarter of that Browns game. So we have seen a lot less productivity from Ryan Kerrigan without Chase Young.
Bruce Rader back with Washington insider Scott Jackson. Scott, we all support Coach Rivera as he battles through his bout with cancer, but even though he's a warrior, you have to wonder if he would be better off watching a game or two from the press box with a headset on instead of being on the sidelines.
Well, this last week was pretty, astonishing how you could see him during the timeouts, how much he was sitting down, and it really kind of gave you pause. Like you did worry about his health, right? It was a concern, and then there was reports after the game that maybe he was leaning a little bit on one of the Washington team PR guys getting off the field. Sounded tired. His energy seems to be back this week, which is good to see. And like it's a tough thing that he's going through, and everybody's obviously in his corner rooting for him to take care of this. This is obviously bigger than football or anything he can do. And you just got to trust his doctors. And as he's mentioned many times, he's got to trust, his body and listen to his body. And if it gets to that point where he feels like he needs to take a week off, or as you mentioned, maybe go in the press box as opposed to be on the sidelines, I think this team is equipped to handle it if they have to.
Finally, we are entering uncharted waters on Sunday. So your thoughts on the game against the Rams?
Well, look, I think, certainly these coaches, I think, need this win in terms of, like, they need Kyle Allen to show significantly more than Dwayne Haskins. This is going to be second, third, and fourth guest around this town for quite some time if it doesn't go well for Kyle Allen. So he's going to need to play really well. I mean, they're going to have to somehow keep Aaron Donald off of his back, which is not going to be easy. Hopefully Antonio Gibson can continue to raise his level, which he has over these last few weeks. And, Terry McLaurin just keep doing what he's been doing. And, Kyle Allen can show us that he is more equipped to handle this offense as Scott Turner and obviously Ron Rivera believe. And on the other side of it, the defense, they've got to be good. I mean, Sean McVay will have something up his sleeve. They're going to run the football or try to run the football. They'll run a lot of bootlegs. The Washington defense is going to have to be disciplined against that. And it's not going to be an easy game, but I think as you saw last week, a Giants team that's in last place is still looking for a win in this division. They hung around with the Rams on the road for, almost four quarters. So I think, Washington maybe could draw a little hope from that.